The House of Kuru, Part 2, Chapter 19. Yudhishtira, the Crown Prince of Hastinapura. The very next week, the Emperor of Hastinapura, Dhritarashtra, assembled all the kings of the vassal states, the ministers, and important members of royalty in the throne room. As soon as the royal announcer declared that the Emperor of Hastinapura was to arrive, all members of the congregation rose from their seats and awaited for the arrival of the emperor. Dhritarashtra, despite his blindness, still arrived with much pomp and show and seated himself on the magnificently decorated lion throne. As he sat down, so too did the rest of the members of parliament. The chief minister, Vidura, brought the day's usual topics for discussion: the threats that plague the land, the nature of the people, and the report from the spies when the emperor dismissed all of them. Lords of this kingdom, as you know, time is the destroyer of all things. And yes, in time, I too would be destroyed by it, said the emperor of Hastinapura. And suddenly there were a loud number of murmurs and hushed whispers all across the throne room. I wish to decide on the scion of this mighty kingdom that is Hastinapura, and this very day will this decision be made, finished the king. And as soon as he did, there were roars from the common folk and neighboring vassal states. All hail King Yudhishtira! All hail King Yudhishtira! And Suyodhana's face turned red in suppressed fury. Silence! Said the emperor, and a hushed silence swept the throne room. Vidura immediately turned to the emperor. It looks like the people have already chosen an emperor, your majesty, said Vidura, as Suyodhana winced and Karna squirmed in his chair. Dear chief minister, might I remind you that this kingdom is not ruled by the people but by the iron will of the emperor, said the prince of Gandhara, Shakuni. Prince of Gandhara, all emperors of Hastinapura have always taken the will of the people into account. The current emperor is no different. Furthermore, it is inappropriate to speak when not spoken to, especially in a throne room of royalty. Perhaps you have forgotten all royal etiquette? Asked Vidura as Shakuni scowled and turned away. Emperor of Hastinapura, forgive me for speaking my mind, said a loud, booming voice on the left of the throne room. A man dressed in golden armor, sparkling like the noonday sun, with droplet earrings hanging from each ear, approached the center of the throne room. We are men of the warrior class. In accordance with the rules of our class, it is most appropriate for the firstborn son of the emperor to ascend the throne. We practice male primogeniture, and for this reason Suyodhana and Suyodhana alone must ascend the lion throne, roared the man as Dhritarashtra smiled wide and Suyodhana nodded approvingly. Karna! Roared an equally loud voice on the right of the throne room. The great throne room of Hastinapura is not scarce of statesmen and advisers well versed in ethics and righteous conduct. We are not so desperately lacking in wisdom that we need the son of a charioteer to instruct us in virtue and conduct of the warrior class, reprimanded Guru Kripa, the teacher of ethics and statesmanship. What right do you have, you who have been brought up in the stables of a charioteer, to instruct this congregation on the ways of the warriors? Asked Guru Kripa. I am the king of Anga, said Karna, trying to stand brave in front of the cross-examination that was taking place. Your kingdom was donated to you by the very man trying to ascend the throne. That does not guarantee you have royal blood. No one knows who your real father is, nor whether you belong to a noble house, or are you the son of a courtesan or dancer. Allowing you into this congregation was a huge folly. An insult to the noble house of Kuru, insulted Guru Kripa. A hushed silence filled the room once more. Everyone was stunned by Guru Kripa's response. But what he said was true. Who knows this stranger? Was he the son of a harlot or a king? they thought to themselves. Even the Pandavas cringed a little. Yudhishtira, on the other hand, had noticed something rather peculiar. Kunti was sobbing softly. Yudhishtira always had his mother's emotions by the pulse, and the moment she sniffed, he turned his head in her direction to notice that she was sporting a teary-eyed look. Karna's voice broke, and he looked around, eyes drenched in tears, as he approached Suyodhana. I am so sorry, my king. In my love for you ascending the throne, I forgot my place in this kingdom. Forgive me. Forgive this bastard son, for I cannot do anything further, stammered Karna with a tremble, and Suyodhana shot up from his seat and hugged him. Your place is on the throne of Anga, dear king, and in the center of my heart, my friend, said Suyodhana. Karna returned the embrace and sniffed, wiping the tear on his right eye, and grabbed his bow with his quiver of arrows as he went out of the throne room without looking back. Suyodhana then sat down with a loud sigh. Karna's departure does not answer the question of who gets the throne, said Sushasana, the younger brother of Suyodhana. The throne of Hastinapura is to be ruled by the firstborn son of the king. The code of warriors dictates that only Suyodhana should ascend the lion throne, said Shusasana, as Suyodhana smiled towards his younger brother and nodded in agreement. Shusasana, your father, the king of Hastinapura, knows the code of warriors. Sit down, said Bhishma, and Sushasana sat down in a huff. Vidura, you are the master of laws, the chief minister of the state, one who has the best understanding of ethics and virtue. Therefore speak. Tell this throne room who deserves to ascend the lion throne, commanded the emperor of Hastinapura. This empire was ruled by the emperor Pandu, who was the original emperor of this land. With tiresome efforts, he expanded her regions. It is therefore most befitting that the firstborn son of Pandu should ascend the lion throne of Hastinapura, said Vidura, and a hushed silence filled the throne room. Why does the chief minister insist on living in the past? Death of the former king ensured that the current king, Emperor Dhritarashtra, is the ruler of Hastinapura and all her 60 vassal states, said Shakuni, as Vidura responded immediately. Prince of Gandhara, it is befitting, I hope, for you to remember that the King Pandu placed the current king as regent until his firstborn son arrives. The code of warriors is one that is truly full of loopholes. Pandu was never the firstborn son, but second. The reigning emperor is the current and firstborn son of the house of Kuru. Therefore, Suyodhana is the true heir and king of Hastinapura, interrupted Shakuni. Vidura immediately corrected him and said the current king was born blind. The rules of virtue dictate only a person with no fault can ascend the throne of Hastinapura. This kingdom was given as a charity to the current king. Enough! A loud voice boomed from the lion throne of Hastinapura. Vidura is the chief minister of this empire, and I, as the king, have asked for his counsel and not yours, Shakuni, commanded the emperor as Shakuni bowed low and took his seat. I, the king and emperor of Hastinapura, have decided that the scion of the lion throne, the ascendant to the empire, will be the firstborn son of Pandu, Yudhishtira, proclaimed King Dhritarashtra to a flabbergasted Vidura and a stunned audience as a cacophony of cheers enveloped the throne room. This is madness! This is downright against virtue! Roared an equally loud voice to the left of the throne room. A red-faced Suyodhana had shot up from his seat and was hurling abuses towards the sons of Pandu as Bhima clenched his fists. Yudhishtira, wise and ever-present, pressed his palms hard on Bhima's clenched fist and shook his head as Bhima turned to see him. Arjuna also had his guard up, and so did the twins. Suyodhana was like a mad elephant, throwing a tantrum in the throne room, and Shakuni had to placate him with sweet words. Finally, Bhishma stood up. Anyone who dares to disrupt the proceedings of the emperor will need to wage a war with me, said Bhishma. And Suyodhana instantly calmed down. Shakuni grabbed his forearm and dragged him away from the throne room as Suyodhana kept mumbling as though his mouth was out of control and Sushasana was close behind him. Now that the theatrics have come to an end, when, O King of Hastinapura, would the coronation commence? Asked Vidura. As always, Vidura, the dates need to be confirmed with the royal astrologers, and the throne room needs to be appropriately decorated. Rest assured, we will crown the son of Pandu, Yudhishtira, as the scion of Hastinapura, commanded the emperor of Hastinapura, and Vidura bowed. All the Pandavas had their heads held high, and Kunti was smiling. This was completely unexpected, and they were planning to accept defeat. But, much their surprise, Dhritarashtra went completely against his nature and went in sync with virtue. That night, Suyodhana barged into the bedchambers of the emperor, closely followed by Karna and Sushasana. "You monster! You call me a son? You call me your blood?" shrieked Suyodhana. Dhritarashtra and Gandhara were resting on the back of the bedchamber as they scrambled to get up and address their firstborn. "Yes, father, how could you? How could you favor the sons of Pandu over your own?" asked Sushasana. Karna stood behind them but did not mention a word. "Everyone was against us in that throne room. Did you see how my blood brother Karna was insulted for just expressing an opinion? They called him worse than a son of a harlot, a bastard child. No one there supported us. Vidura was the pet of the Pandavas. Guru Kripa was another emissary of the Pandavas. Guru Drona too. No one cares for us. And now you too have shown your true colors," roared Suyodhana. No, my child, listen, insisted Dhritarashtra. "Silence! That was what you told Uncle Shakuni. You asked him to shut his mouth. You turncoat! You know nothing of honor. Shame on you! Shame on this world! There is no one for us. With this cowardly father, we are all doomed to be the servants of the Pandavas. Bhima will command me to fetch water from the aqueducts. Arjuna will laugh as I rush with an empty vase. No one will be there for us," screamed Suyodhana. "I will always be there for you, my dear nephew," said a soft voice from the entrance of the bedchamber, and everyone turned to see Shakuni, dressed in pitch black robes, a black turban with deep black mascara around his eyes, and a thick grey beard. "Uncle Shakuni!" roared Suyodhana as he ran and hugged his maternal uncle. "Uncle, you tried. You tried. I know you care about us," said Suyodhana in a tight embrace with his maternal uncle. "This was all your uncle's idea. He told me to crown Yudhishtira. Ask him!" roared Dhritarashtra, pointing to Shakuni. And Suyodhana had a look of pure terror on his eyes. "You what?" he screamed as he immediately let go of his uncle, and all his filial love vaporized as quickly as it manifested. "Of course I did," said Shakuni flatly with a smirk. For some reason, Suyodhana calmed down. Shakuni had an innate ability to calm him with his soft words and calm demeanor. Shakuni simply made Suyodhana a putty under his hypnotic stare. "My dear nephew, do you think I want the Pandavas on the lion throne? Of course not. This was all a ruse. Trust me, my child, I will ensure that you ascend that mighty throne of Hastinapura. Everything has perfectly fallen into my plan. You will be the crown prince of Hastinapura. Of this I am certain," said the sly maternal uncle. And somehow the violent, capricious Suyodhana was completely calm, and to everyone's surprise, he was even sporting a small smile. "Really, Mama? Really?" Suyodhana's eyes were full of greed and avarice. He called his uncle Mama only when he truly believed him. "Yes, my child. I promised you the Lion Throne. You will get it, said Shakuni. Shakuni's mesmerizing voice had a deep impact. Everyone in the bedchamber believed him as though in trance. Dhritarashtra's fury had completely subsided, Suyodhana's rage was completely dismantled, and Sushasana was looking into Shakuni's eyes with wonder and amazement. Only Karna could not keep up with the family drama, but having faith in the words of Shakuni, he became a silent acceptor of the situation. So I am indeed surprised by the action of Dhritarashtra. So he did allow the virtuous King Yudhishtira to ascend the Lion Throne after all, dear Guru, asked Vaishampayana. Ah, dear Janamejaya, you truly can be naive at times. Listen now to what happens next as I impart to you the tale of the evil-minded Kanika and his council, said the Rajaguru Vaishampayana.